Shalom, shalom, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Inward Man. This is the 35th installment of the Inward Man. My name is Symmanayah. Let's get started. Awake, O Yasharal, for it is time to acknowledge the drawing power of the Most High Yahuah. It is time to recognize that in our worship and obedience we lift up Yahusha, our Mashiach. For in recognizing these, my brothers and sisters, we will find ourselves being drawn together. For in these end times, the drawing power of the Most High will pull his children, pull his children from the four corners of the earth. And I say often, this will not be an instantaneous event. It is a process, and we are being refined, disciplined, and prepared for such a time when that moment comes when we must move. Some will find ourselves moving intermittently till we get to the ports where we will cross the sea and head towards the promised land, to the area currently known as Jabal al-Awz, which is the true Mount Sinai. Trust and believe, my brothers and sisters, for these are indeed end times, and of course real times. This segment of the Inward Man focuses on text analyst or message recipient. Text analyst or message recipient. My brothers and sisters, communication is important. Being able to communicate with one another is of vital essence and critical for these final days. Many of us, as we have come into the truth, have fallen victim to thinking that we must chase after or pursue what is perceived to be the original Hebrew language. Perceived. There are many people who jump on the bandwagon and they use a term here, use a term there, and they say they speak in Hebrew. Or they use a few words here and there and they say they speak a little Hebrew. Ask them to tell you how to go get a glass of water in Hebrew. Or ask them how to walk down the street, turn right, go 1 mile, stop, and turn around. Pick any phrase or statement and ask them to tell you that in Hebrew. I've heard many people who supposedly know Hebrew claim that they can tell you anything if you don't know it, in an effort to psychologically get you to chase after what they are saying is the Hebrew language. My brothers and sisters, throughout the scriptures we see instructions talking about the importance of names, the importance of name. And I say this because I had someone say that it appeared that I was attacking the Hebrew language, but yet I had a Hebrew name. The scriptures emphasizes the importance of name, my brothers and sisters. We are not instructed to search after and try to find the original language that we had. And I'm going to bring some scriptures up shortly. But I want to say to you, my brothers and sisters, if anyone claims to be teaching you Hebrew, ask them, is it modern Hebrew? Is it Paleo? Is it ancient? Is it Yiddish? Ask them what form of Hebrew are they teaching you. And just for you to, in case you didn't know, modern Hebrew is Aramaic influence. It is not the original pure language. So no one is speaking the original pure language, my brothers and sisters, that we once had in the beginning, during the beginning of man. No one currently is speaking that. Do not be deceived. I know we're excited. Many Hebrews will come and realize, wow, I'm one of the chosen people. I'm from the chosen descendants of Abraham that's in the book, in the scriptures. I belong to that race. Knowing, my brothers and sisters, is not just about race. It's about having a spirit of set apartness. It is about doing and pursuing the will of the Almighty Father. Communication is important. There are so many different languages on this planet, my brothers and sisters, and you will discover as we become more unified, we will understand what is important and how to communicate. We will grow to realize that many languages that we see now, the words are subjective. They may have 2, 3, 4 meanings. Even in the modern Hebrew, terms have more than one meaning. So I say to you, do not fall victim and think that you have to pursue what is perceived to be the Hebrew language. The language that you have is sufficient for the Most High to open your hearts and minds and make alive his words. And you've heard me say often that the scriptures, the written texts, have been tampered with by man. There are many translations. There are many different positions of belief. And thus, as we see all these different translations, they have led to different interpretations. Keep in mind that it is written that the letter kills, and it is the spirit that makes alive. It's the spirit of the Almighty Father that gives life. And that was 2 Corinthians 3:6 that lets us know that the letter kills, but the spirit gives life. So if you're walking around just trying to be a text analyst and breaking down words and looking at the context alone, you are sadly mistaken. We must study what we have before us, but we must pray and always lean on the spirit of Yahuah, sending Yahusha's name as our teacher, so that we can discern the life in the passage of scriptures. With that said, let's get into some scriptures. For I know that there are those who are chomping at the bit, or those who are saying, show me some scriptures. With that said, I want to read to you Genesis 11th chapter, verses 1 through 8. Genesis 11th chapter, verses 1 through 8. And it reads as follows. And all the earth had one language and one speech. Depending on what version you have, it may say one lip. And it came to be as they set out from the east, and they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said to each other, come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly. And they had bricks for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. And they said, come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower, whose top is in the heavens, and make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered over all the face of the earth. Then Yahuah came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And Yahuah said, look, they are one people, they all have one language, and this is what they begin to do. And now they are not going to be withheld from doing whatever they plan to do. In other words, he's saying they can't do whatever they plan to do. They can't just do whatever they want to do. It goes on to say in the 7th and 8th verse, I'm in the 11th chapter of Genesis. Come, let us go there and confuse their language so that they do not understand one another's speech. And Yahuah scattered them from there and over the face of all the earth, and they left off building the city. My brothers and sisters, the many diverse languages we see is an act of the Most High, because when we had one language, we thought we could do whatever we wanted to do. And by scattering us, by confusing our language, there's only one who understands all languages, who knows all, who is the beginning and the end, and that is Yahuah, our Almighty Father. So it is through him, and he sent his teacher, his spirit as our teacher, his set apart spirit in Yahusha's name, joined with our spirit. We become message recipients. So message recipients in this segment is referring to those who can receive what the spirit of Yahusha is saying to us, versus those who are just text analysts. Now again, I'm not saying don't study the text. I'm not saying don't read the text. I'm not even saying context is wrong. But what I'm saying, if you lean only on the context, if you lean only on your academic prowess, on your own literacy skills, you will miss out on what the Spirit has to say about his writings. Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 8 and 9 reads, therefore wait for me, declares Yahuah, until the day I rise up from plunder. For my judgment is to gather nations, to assemble rains, to pour out on them my rage, all my burning wrath. For by fire of my jealousy, all the earth shall be consumed. He's talking about, my brothers and sisters, his judgment against the nation. He's talking about wait on him, for he will handle all the matters that are necessary to fulfill his promises. It goes on to say in the 9th verse of Zephaniah, for then I shall turn unto the peoples a clean lip, so that they all call on the name of Yahuah to serve him with one shoulder. I submit to you, O Yasharal. He said, wait on him. And yes, he will prepare us. Yes, he's bringing us to mind to let us know that there is a clean lip to come. But do not be deceived by those who would try to portray themselves as more superior. If you really look at the seed, the function of any word that is presented to you, look at the English, look at the Hebrew, and they'll say, oh, the Hebrew changes things all together. Get to the root, get to the function of it. And ask yourselves, is the function the same when you get to the seed of the matter? O Yasharal, we will grow to learn that time is a precious thing. Communications is critical. Prayer is important. It is important to pursue and recognize the living presence of the Spirit of Yahusha working within us so that we grow to discern what is indeed necessary. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 2 through 6 reads as follows. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 2 through 6. It says, you are our letter, having been written in our hearts, known and read by all men, making it obvious that you are a letter of Messiah, served by us, written not with ink, but by the Spirit of the living Almighty One, not on tablets of stone, but on fleshly tablets of the heart. I want to pause for a minute. That was verse 2 and 3. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 2 and 3. I want you to understand, my brothers and sisters, what he is saying here, what the Shaul is saying in this writing towards us, is that it is by our actions, our functions, that is the ultimate letter. That is the writings that he's emphasizing that takes precedence over the text. Who has heard the phrase, actions speak louder than words? He's letting us know, O Yasharal, that by Yahushua Mashiach and walking in obedience, our actions produce communications, produce a witness. Verse 4 through 6 read, in such trust we have towards the Almighty One through the Messiah. Not that we are competent in ourselves to reckon any matter as from ourselves, but our competence is from the Almighty One, who also made us competent as servants of a renewed covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kills and the Spirit gives life. Seek to discern the life in these words, O Yasharal, my brothers, my sisters, for they are critical, more critical than ever in these last days. I also want to read John 4:13 and 4:14. It reads, Yahusha said to her, everyone drinking of this water shall thirst again, but whoever drinks of the water I give him shall certainly never thirst, and the water that I give him shall become in him a fountain of water, springing up into everlasting life. He's speaking of our spirits. When we speak, he's speaking when we speak of set apartness, when we govern ourselves in set apartness. That is as the waters from the Almighty Father. It is as the waters given to us by Yahushua Mashiach. That was John 4:13 and 14. If you will, also drop down to John 4:23 and 24. It reads as follows. But the hour is coming, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father also does seek such to worship him. The Almighty One is spirit, and those who worship him need to worship in spirit and in truth. We will grow to understand what this means. Each day we will become more and more aware how important it is to recognize the living spirit of the Almighty Father, Abba Yahuah, sent in Yahusha's name to teach us, to set us free from strongholds. Ephesians 5:25-27. It reads as follows. Husband, love your wives as Messiah also did love the assembly and gave himself for it, in order to set it apart and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. Cleanse it by the washing of water by the word, in order to present it to himself splendid a splendid assembly, not having spot or wrinkle or any of this sort, that it might be set apart and blameless. You see, my brothers and sisters, water, the word, are akin to one another when we look at it as it relates to the Spirit of Yahuah. That was Ephesians 5:25-27. If you would also join me and read Ephesians 6:17 and 18. It reads as follows: Take also the helmet of deliverance and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Almighty One, praying at all times with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, watching in all perseverance and supplication for all the set apart ones. Praying, my brothers and sisters. We will grow to understand the power and might of the Spirit of Yahusha working within us as our teacher. We will grow to know where being a text analyst is not enough. Being a message recipient is not enough. For the Most High gave us the scriptures, and he also gave us the Spirit. But I submit to you, the spirit of a man was before the text that we read. The life that we have was before the text. Not before the living word of the Spirit of Yahuah, the text. Man has tampered with the text, but they cannot tamper with Yahuah. They cannot tamper with his words. They cannot tamper with his spirit. Though there are rebellious individuals that will fight, they cannot tamper with it. Pray and seek to discern, O Yasharal. It is time to gird up and be strong. Matthew 10:26 reads, Therefore do not fear them, for whatever is covered shall be revealed, and whatever is hidden shall be made known. I wanted to present this, my brothers and sisters, because as these individuals who try to make themselves seem so superior because they're learning, or they know, or in some cases they believe they've mastered the modern Hebrew language, the truth will come out. Sometimes we can uncover the truth by mere questions, asking a person to speak fluently. Tell them to read a book in Hebrew, a story in Hebrew. Show it to them in English and tell them to read it to you in Hebrew, and watch them struggle. You see, there's much deception, my brothers and sisters. Yes, there's importance in the name. The scriptures talk about importance of the name. The pure lip we will get. Let us wait on Yahusha HaMashiach, our master, and we will find out him as our sovereign or as our king. When he returns, we will begin to witness what a pure lip is, the fulfillment of what Zephaniah 3:9 is referencing. Do not be deceived, my brothers and sisters. Hebrews 4:12 and 13 reads, For the word of the Almighty One is living and working, and sharper than any two-edged sword, cutting through even to the dividing of being in spirit and of joints and marrow, and able to judge the thoughts and intentions of the heart. And there is no creature hidden from his sight, but all are naked and laid bare before the eyes of him with whom is our account. I say these words to you, my brothers and sisters. The Most High sees all, knows all. He knows our very intentions. It is through his set-apart spirit sent in Yahusha's name that occasionally he revealed things to us that we cannot see, that often he revealed things we cannot see, and he later proves it with evidence and power as we see the actions within these vessels come before man, where we are able to gauge or weigh, or through his spirit and according to his word judge, as we are led and directed. For my brothers and sisters, let no one deceive you. The scriptures don't want us just judging outward appearance or just judging anybody because of the way they look or what they sound like and so forth. The scripture want us to judge righteous judgment as we are led by him according to his word to execute judgment. Judgment is basically a decision, rendering a verdict, making a decision, my brothers and sisters. So you see, whether we say judgment or make a decision or choose, they all have similar functions, for it renders a point where our actions must change from one way to another. Judgment, decision, choice. They are akin to one another, my brothers and sisters. Over the years, man have tampered with language. We have become dumbfounded with so many languages. Then there are also individuals who are borderline illiterate. And I'm not saying this to criticize anyone, nor do I profess to be an expert on language. But there are individuals who have struggled reading. They did not do well in school, or they have learning disabilities. Because they may be illiterate and struggle with reading the text in the letter, because they may not speak eloquently, because they may not be quote unquote smart or intelligent, as some would say who criticize them, do not underestimate the spirit of any individual who can communicate by actions or by words. Let us seek to discern what is being said from any individual, and let us seek to discern the life, if there's any, in their communications. So I say to you, O Yasharal, wake up, awake, and acknowledge the drawing power of Yahuah, our Almighty Father. Let us lift up Yahusha Mashiach in our obedience. Let us be mindful of John 6:44 and John 12:32. For these are the days where if you are not being drawn by the Most High Father, it would be wise for us not to try to burden, not to try to force a drawing on anyone, or coming together on anyone. Let us identify the drawing of the Most High, and let us come together. Let us begin to communicate. Let us begin to fellowship. Let us begin to grow closer with one another. And remember 1 John 4:1. For the things we can't see, it is necessary to test the Spirit, to try the Spirit, to see if it's indeed from the Almighty Father, in Yahusha's name. Until next time, my brothers and sisters, I say to you, realize that time is a precious thing. Do not go chasing after things because you believe that that is what you're supposed to do, such as just analyze the text alone. Please do not misquote me. I'm talking about the text analysts who lean only on the letter, who only lean on the writings, who only trust their own mental intelligence, their own academic prowess. That's what I'm referring to when I'm saying the text analyst, the one who only do that and ignore the messages that are coming from the Spirit of Yahusha, who ignore the set-apart life in the Spirit of Yahusha teaching us, who disregard the necessity to be a message recipient, to receive the words set apart from our Almighty Father in Yahusha's name. I will rest here, my brothers and sisters, and say to you, my prayer is that we, O Yasharal, that we grow in discernment as we study and pray, that we grow to realize that pray without ceasing means to speak, but also in the still of silence to see if we are able to identify the Spirit of Yahusha speaking to us, in us, or through another. I pray that each and every one of you who hear this message, I pray for your good health, for your encouragement, for your fortitude. I pray for your households, your family, my family. I pray for Yasharal, that we wake up and begin to acknowledge the things that are important. Until next time, my name is Symmanayah. Shalom. Shalom. Shalom.